The Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers, who had a big win on Monday night, now come to Kansas City. And for the Chiefs, they're trying to hold the fort. This edition of Defending the Kingdom, like them all, brought to you by Ticketmaster. What a great gift idea. Yep, Ticketmaster. Keep that in mind.
They give it off. Kareem Hunt trying to keep his feet alive, driving near the goal line. Touchdown! Kansas City!
Hi, everyone. I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. And yes, it's time to hold the fort. Maybe it's the Alamo. Going back to March of 1836. Those of you who study Texas history know that. Or, I don't know, we can throw in Masada or Thermopylae or any of those. But the fort's surrounded right now. But it's time to hold the fort, have a home game, and get a victory against the Chargers.
Yeah, it is. We know the path for the Chiefs to make the postseason. I'll go over that here in a little bit. But really, the only thing that matters right now, and we could talk about all the complicated stuff that's out there, the only thing that matters is we got to beat the Chargers on Sunday. And let's get back in the win column.
Yep.
It's been a weird, 5 or 6 weeks where we were 5-3 at one point, feeling really good, going to Buffalo thinking we're going to go to Buffalo, win, and have a nice flight home, and then have our bye week. And ever since then, I think we've lost, 4 or 5? And just been kind of unchief-like, right? This hasn't gone the way that we thought it would. But we are still alive, and there's a lot still to play for. And we've been right there with all these teams. I dug up a pretty crazy stat that you'll get a kick out of. So we are 10th in the NFL in point differential.
Oh, I saw it. I know. There's really crazy stuff.
It
doesn't add up to 6 and 7.
No, it certainly doesn't. We actually have an expected record, if you do all the math with the point differential, of 8-4. Now, it hasn't played out that way. We have a better point differential than the Jags, Niners, Chargers, Eagles, Bears, Steelers, Cowboys, Ravens, and Buccaneers, just to name a few. We're the second team in the Super Bowl era to have a point differential of at least 60, but to lose 7 of 13 games, the other being the 2019 Cowboys. So why do I say all this? Not as an excuse, just kind of stating it, that this has been a weird year where the Houston loss wasn't technically by one score. Might as well have been. It was basically a one-score game. They kicked a field goal at the very end of it. But we've been in all these games, just have not made the plays at the end like we normally do to win them. And there's still time left. Let's go make those plays against the Chargers on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a little bit to lose 3 out of 4 since the point being at 5-3. It's been a little bit of something different, and it's been all 3 phases. So it's not like, well, gosh, it's this part of the game or this happened or this has caused it. It's everything. And yet, when you crunch the numbers, it accentuates what Pat has said and what Andy has said. Is like, it's just so close.
Yeah.
And so, but the close doesn't count if you don't get it done. And this week, it's hold the fort against the Chargers. We haven't seen them since week 1 in Brazil. And here they come. We'll talk about them in a second. Let's go around the world. How many you got? Because I've got. I'm going to tell you a phenomenon that has started.
Yeah.
In the Chiefs' kingdom, but I'll let you roll. How many?
Just 3 for me today.
3. So Jan Stenerud, who I saw. We don't have a number 3 anymore. That number has been retired. We have a lot of retired numbers. We've talked about that before. That's a whole summertime conversation. But,
we'll have more in about 10 years, too, which makes it kind of precarious. But anyway.
We'll be down to 47 to the third power. But, I saw Jan. It was great. He was at the Bill Moss induction, the Hall of Fame, this past weekend. So what have we got? 3, and I've got 4, I believe.
So shout out to Alaric in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. You're probably impressed, Alaric, that I said that correctly. Not the Willamette Valley.
It rolled out.
The Willamette Valley.
Willamette Valley.
I lived there for a summer in 2015, working for the Salem Kaiser Volcanoes. So shout out to you,
Classic.
Alaric. We heard from Mike in Lincoln last week, and you were curious where he went to high school. I have the answer for you. He went to Northeast High School, home of the
Rockets.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, got it. Damn.
Northeast Rockets.
Let's go Rockets.
Then shout out to former Chief Chris Bober.
Yeah.
And his daughter, Hannah. So I had a chance to meet them before the Bill Moss ceremony on
cool.
Sunday. Hannah listens to DTK. Came up and said hi. And wanted to say hi to you, too. I'm sure he does, but Hannah was the bigger fan, I think, of
He's
the show.
a realtor now in Omaha. Went to Omaha South, the Packers.
Okay.
Why? Because meatpacking plant in South Omaha. So, yeah, Chris Bober, good dude.
Yeah, very cool. So great to meet you both, and shout out to you, Hannah. Thanks for
Played
saying
college
hi.
ball at the University of Nebraska. Omaha, which doesn't have football anymore. They dropped it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Then they won the National Wrestling Championship and dropped wrestling the night they won the wrestling title. Yeah, don't get me started on that. Anyway, or don't get anybody started on
like a funding issue?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's too bad.
They couldn't wait. Like the next day they go, nah, it's over. All right, here we go. I got
tough.
a couple too. So something has started. This is a new phenomenon. That is people and around the world, we've talked about DTK around the world, they will come to a game. They listen to DTK, so they check that. They come to a game, pilgrimage, check that, and then they stay for the Chiefs Kingdom show on Monday night. This happened last night. We were in Lenox at the Hy-Vee in Lenox at 87th Street. Petra Gunther, who was one of Reed's redheads, this blazing red wig she had on, from Bergheim, Germany, Deutschland.
Okay.
Yeah, near Cologne. So anyway, Petra Gunther, a Kingdom defender, shout out to you. Ryan Shear, you talk about Omaha. We got it covered because Omaha South is Bober. This Ryan Shear is a longtime Chiefs fan. He grew up in Fremont, Nebraska, home of the Tigers, but now he lives in Elkhorn, Nebraska, home of the Antlers. But Ryan had he'd always wanted to do the trifecta, so he did it. And he came to the Kingdom show. Then Marty and Betsy Wild from Sacramento, California. Now, Marty's originally from Andover, Kansas. He was original Andover High Trojan, not an Andover Central Jaguar. And he married a gal from Twin Falls, Idaho. They live, though, in Sacramento. They have these big, giant watch parties there, kind of like Big Charlie's. And, you know, we're sad to hear the passing involving Big Charlie's in Philly. But Marty and Betsy had these big blowouts in Sacramento, California. They watch and listen, but they had this goal. Go to a game, DTK, their Kingdom defenders, go to a game and go to the Chiefs Kingdom show. They were there. And then Annabelle and Michael Glenn from Monterrey, Mexico.
Wow.
It's something's going on. But anyway, that's it. Hold the fort. Hey, you Kingdom defenders, you too can complete the trifecta. You can come to a game and stay for the Chiefs Kingdom show.
You ever think these Hy-Vee workers, you ever think they thought they'd be interacting with people from Monterey and Germany, Cologne?
No, and they love it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They do. They love it because they'll kind of hang around, you know, where the show's at, and they will. They'll be great. Hy-Vee's been incredible, but it's become a thing.
Yeah.
And so we get to Mexico, Germany, who knows? Anyway, Sacramento, California, no-cal types. This is we're holding the fort here. And here come the Chargers, a team that, gosh, they've lost so much to injury, especially the offensive line. That showed up in their game last night as we video this on Tuesday. But now they're getting guys back, too. And Amarian Hampton is a big get-back for them. He has missed, I believe, 9 games. And they put him on IR, designated to return, and Hampton is back. Sorry, he missed 7 games with an ankle issue. That's a big deal for them because they, with Jim Harbaugh wanting to run the ball, I'll get into the stats in there a second, but this is a run, play, pass team, and then defensively they were really good in forcing Jalen Hurts into turnover after turnover after turnover.
A lot to talk about with these guys. You know, I think about our season and how from like the first minute we've been trying to climb out of this hole that we've dug for ourselves.
No question.
Began against these guys on the 3rd play of the season when Xavier got hurt. And from that moment on, we were just trying to dig out of this hole. And I would love nothing more than to close the vortex here in this game, to beat these guys convincingly and to win out. Before I jump too deep into the Chargers, I thought it would make sense to go over the postseason path for us really quickly and how this game relates to it, because it's like the linchpin. Obviously, we need to win our final 4 games. We need to finish the season 10-7. That's a given. We need the Colts to lose 2 of their 4 remaining games. How about Phillip Rivers coming back? You ever think that would happen?
No. Put that on your 2025 bingo card.
Yes.
Who's next?
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Wow.
Either Riley Leonard or Phillip Rivers will face.
Romo will come back now.
Yes, he will. Phil Simms.
Phil Simms.
They have to go to Seattle, play the Niners at home, play the Jags at home, and go to Houston. They need to lose 2 of those games. Okay. The Chargers obviously need to lose to us. That's part of us winning out. They then need to lose 2 of the remaining 3 games, with one of those being to the Broncos in Week 18. So those games are at Dallas, against the Texans at home, at Broncos. So if they lose at Broncos in Week 18, lose to us, we win out, Colts lose 2 games, and they lose to either the Cowboys or the Texans, that's the path. That's a lot of information. Why do I bring it all up? Well, none of that matters if we don't win this game against the Chargers. So that all is important. There is a path. We can see the path. We got to win this game first, though. And once we win this game, hopefully we can start talking about other scenarios as the weeks go on. But we got to win this game, and it certainly won't be easy because the Chargers are tough. Like, they've had all these injuries all year. Would have been very easy against Philadelphia when Herbert gets sacked 7 times and already has a broken hand to mail it in. Not the case. Like, they kind of willed themselves to a win on Monday, and this will be a tough one. We're going to have to match and maybe exceed that toughness.
Which is why that win last night by them was so huge, because the scenario you laid out takes a drastic difference if they lose last night's game.
Yeah.
If they're sitting there not at 9-4, but at 8-5, and we're right there 6-7 anyway, that was gigantic last night. And then, gosh, all the interceptions. But there's something to that, and we'll get into the Charger defense here in a minute. But you mentioned the 7 sacks. Philly was relentless last night, and the Chargers lose Trey Pipkins. So he goes down, and they've already lost, we already know, Rashawn Slater, and they've lost Joe Alt. Those guys are all gone. They've been trying to piece this all together. They do have their skill guys. I mentioned Hampton coming back. Gadsden's been good. We know what Ladd McConkey does. His eyes light up against us. Keenan Allen. But it's pressuring the quarterback, trying to get pressure with 4, which is what the Eagles did last night.
Yeah.
There wasn't tons of blitzing going on by them. 7 sacks, and they still win the game. It's like the Dave Craig win with Derek Thomas's 6-sack game here back in the 90s, and the Seahawks still win on the last play of the game. That's what it felt like. But I know you talked to George Karlaftis. There's got to be pressure, and there's got to be relentless pressure all day against Justin Herbert in this game to create negative plays, at the least to create field position.
Yeah, because I'm with you. If you look at the game on Monday, the Eagles pressured Herbert on 66% of his dropbacks, and that actually went down from where it was earlier in the game. At one point, he was being pressured on more than 70% of his dropbacks, like constantly under pressure, and half of that was without blitzing. It wasn't like they were just dialing up blitzes every time. They were just getting blown off the line of scrimmage by that Eagles defensive front. And you mentioned how they have all these skill guys. So they have 4 different players that have at least 500 receiving yards this year in McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, and Gadsden. Those 4 combined for 7 catches for 49 yards against the Eagles. Why? Because Herbert had no time to find them down the field. Really impressive stuff by the Eagles. I don't understand how they lost the game, all things considered, with that much pressure throughout and creating that many negative plays.
4 interceptions will help.
That'll certainly help, yeah. And Hurts turning the ball over twice on one play. Don't think I've ever seen that before. But anyway, even though it didn't work for the Eagles in that game because of the mistakes that they made on top of it, the Chiefs have got to find a way to consistently generate pressure against Herbert rather. And the good news is the Chiefs defense was the bright spot in the Houston game. I mean, the Chiefs defense gave us every opportunity to win that game. Think about the pressure they created on C.J. Stroud. Ironically, 66% of his dropbacks, he was under pressure, according to Pro Football Focus. Chris Jones had his best game of the season. He had 8 pressures in that game and kind of led the way. I talked to George about that. So we got to find a way to generate pressure in this game. You can't let Herbert be comfortable because, as we saw, the dude is a gamer. He's tough. He's physical. And if there is a way, he's going to try to find it. We can't let them have opportunities in this game. Got to generate pressure consistently.
And he was their leading rusher in that game. He actually did, it was flashbacks in the Philly game. The reason they were able to get, and Dicker makes every field goal known to man, 70, 90, 80, 30,000, whatever.
His numbers are nuts.
It's nuts. But it was Herbert's scrambles, his ability to run and get free, just like against us on the last play to seal it in the game in Brazil. He's not thought to be a runner, but he can. And he runs with resourcefulness. So you've got to get pressure on him, but you can't just let there be a middle open for him and let him scramble away. You had a chance to talk with George Karlaftis. It was awesome for George to get that sack in the Texan game. It did look like his playoff sack against Stroud. If you remember, that was a 4th down play that was huge in that game. It was like a 30-yard sack that ended up being a turnover, essentially. George, can you roll it up and keep it going? And you talk to him about it.
All right, joined now by George Karlaftis. George, obviously tough result on Sunday, but the defense gave us every chance to win, I think, especially in the second half. You guys go out there, you hold the Texans to like 17 yards on their first 5 possessions in the second half. What was working for the defense all night on Sunday?
I mean, it starts with the game plan and Spags and in practice. All the coaches, we had a great game plan kind of put on, and we weren't really happy with how we played against the Cowboys. So we kind of set out a goal to play our best football, be detail-oriented, and kind of individualize and play one play at a time and execute to the best of our ability. I think, that's one of the reasons why we had a better game. Obviously we'd love to get the win, but yeah.
Seemed like Chris kind of fired everybody up. He had, I think, his best game of the season. I think
Absolutely.
He had 8 pressures, and he was everywhere. How did you guys kind of follow him into battle there in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, Chris is like, hey, we're gonna have to put the team on our back, just for the defensive line. Coach Reed talks about it all the time. The offensive and defensive lines have to dominate in order to give us a chance, right? So it was kind of just stemming from that, and trying to spark some energy and bring all of us together, and try to win the game.
Who also had a good game by my estimation is Ashton Gelati. I think he had 5 pressures.
Yeah, Ashton played a good game.
What's impressed you about Ashton this year and kind of how he's grown over the course of the season?
He's grown a lot. He's gotten better every single week. He listens, he studies, he works at it. And he really works at it. So he's been great. He's been a great addition. He's going to continue to get better and better.
Now looking forward, tough challenge again against the Chargers. They're playing pretty good football right now. Just talk a little bit about that challenge and how can we slow them down?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the team we've played a lot in these past few years. Every year we play them twice, and the team that we lost to. So we have a lot of respect for them and their offense and them as a team. They're very well coached. They're tough. They run the ball well. They can pass the ball. So there's a lot of respect from us to them.
And last question, just looking toward the end of the season here, been a bit of a bumpy road, but still a lot to play for, and playoff hope still alive. What's the message right now in the locker room about just kind of taking it one game at a time?
Just controlling what you can control. There's no chance of us going to the playoff unless we win out, and it's as simple as that. So just one step at a time, one game at a time, and controlling what we can control, and then we'll see where it's at when it's all over.
George, I appreciate you. Good luck on Sunday.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Just hope George Karlaftis can get hot. We see this in his career. Like, he'll hit these hot phases, so let's hope he's getting into one.
Especially like late in the season. So really, I think every year he's been here, around mid-season, he really turns it on. And my favorite play, I talked to him after the interview about this. My favorite play defensively for him against the Texans wasn't necessarily a sack, and that was awesome, don't get me wrong. But he had one tackle on Woody Marks where he blocked Dalton Schultz into Marks, stopped him in his tracks, got off the block, and then tackled Marks. That was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. The Chargers will try to keep Karlaftis on the field, rest the Chiefs defense. Really, the secret to the Chargers, if you look how they've managed through all these injuries, is they have been second in time of possession. So think Buffalo here. There's some of Buffalo in this Charger DNA. And their defense, though, let's jump into their defense. They have protected their defense. Their defense is good. In fact, the game against Philly was so skewed this number so much, it was crazy. They went from number 1 in the league, the Chargers, from the rushes and completions by their opponent, the fewest in the league, to 5th, which tells you how many snaps Philly got in that game. Like, how did they lose all those turnovers? However, this is a really good Charger defense. The secondary was impressive against Philly. And Tui Pelotu, we know it gets close here, but Tui Pelotu he's quickly becoming one of the top pass rushers in this league. 10 sacks, and he was great against the Eagles. So this is they minimize the defensive exposure, but the exposure the defense have had, they've been outstanding. And we know Derwin James Jr. is a catalyst for this defense, whether he plays near the line of scrimmage or he drops in coverage. And his battles against Kelsey have been legendary.
And a move that's really worked out for them is trading for Odafe Owe from the Ravens.
Yeah.
He's been great for them.
And our fans are going,
yeah. Well, he's the one in that Ravens game back in 2021 that I think
stripped Clyde.
Yeah, and that's why
we're
the
going
Ravens
in to
won
win
that game. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
That's one of those steering wheel pounders.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, even though it's like largely inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, there's like certain games over the Chiefs' run of success over the years that still like I have night sweats about. I'm just like, I think about it. That's one of those games. Anyway, Owe's been good for them. He's 3rd on this team in pressures in just 8 games with 21, 6 pressures against the Eagles on Monday. And he's 2nd in sacks on this team with 5, despite being there only about half the season. So their pass rush is pretty good. Going to be a challenge for our offensive line again. Feels like every single week we're facing these incredible pass rushes. I mean, how about Esapole against the Texans last week? Our guys really stepped up, I thought, in the midst of a really tough situation. Like when Wanye gets hurt on the first snap, you just throw your arms up like, are you kidding me? And then Pole goes in and really holds his own. I thought the rest of the offensive line did a good job overall, considering the circumstances. I don't think the Houston pass rush is why we lost that game. It was other things like drops or just not executing in situations like we should be. And I think this game will be similar, where our offensive line has to go out there, give us an opportunity to execute. But like I've said every week now, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but we've got to execute in these situations when it matters most. And the Chiefs have been so good about that for years.
Yep.
This year just hasn't been the case. Got to protect against this defensive front, and when we have those opportunities, you got to execute
and get them off the field. Get another 3rd and long. We're near the bottom of the league. We're 30th in the league in 3rd down or 6 or more of allowing that to be first downs, and we saw it in Brazil. These guys did it over and over and over again, but we also saw it earlier than that, even in the preseason. But Pole, you and I liked him.
Yeah, we did.
We liked him in OTAs. We're like, who is this guy? He hasn't played hardly any football. If you really look at it in context to everybody else, played at Washington State, undrafted free agent. We're like, oh, and then we were in sackcloth and ashes when he was claimed. And we got him back. Now, that's a miracle that we got the dude back. But we're excited about him, although now they've got tape on him. So watch every little thing that Essa does. But he's a powerful, athletic guy. And so let's see what he can do this week against the guys that we mentioned, because they've got that 3-for-2 going as well.
Yeah.
With Owe, with Tui Pelotu, and Khalil Mack still got some gas in the tank. So, but Essa, hang in there, man. Keep crooking. Another guy that we've got on the scene, he's checking it all out, is our guy Ari Wolfe. And you had a chance to catch up with Ari, spy versus spy.
Hello to everyone, and welcome to Out West with Ari Wolfe. Excited to talk about the Chiefs and AFC West with my friend Matt McMullen. It is week 15. The season is flying by, and what a strange season it's been in the AFC West. Things have just been flipped. The Broncos win again in a game. The final score was 24-17. It didn't seem like there was ever any doubt with their win against the Raiders. Business as usual in the sense they get a win, but a less stressful win this week for the Broncos. They were in control for the entire game. The Raiders with a little bit of a rally late. Denver is really setting itself up to contend for the number 1 seed. Anything specific that you took away from the game between the Broncos and the Raiders?
Well, I think if you include the bye week, so in terms of like calendar weeks, it was the first time in 6 weeks that the Broncos won by more than a field goal, which is crazy.
Right.
I was looking up some point differential stuff earlier today to see kind of where the Chiefs ranked, which they're 10th in the NFL in point differential, by the way, in 6 and 7, which try to figure that one out. But the Broncos point differential is like 10 points better than the Chiefs. And I mean, that stat alone shows you how slim the margin is, right? Where the Broncos have outscored their opponents by 10 more points than the Chiefs this year. They're talking about fighting for the 1 seed, and we're talking about fighting for our playoff lives. I'll give the Broncos credit. Didn't really need to do it here in this game, but all year long, they've made the plays when it matters most, and we haven't. I'm just being honest about it. And in this game, I'm with you. The Broncos were clearly the better team. Weird year for the Raiders. It continues to be a weird year for them. I expect some probably major changes at some point out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure Pete Carroll survives, but we'll wait and see on what Tom Brady and ownership wants to do there. All right, next up, in a game that was critical for the Chiefs and their playoff hopes, the Los Angeles Chargers play the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. And if you'd never seen an NFL football game and you watch this one, you think, wow, it's exciting, but wow, I guess turnovers just happen all the time. 6 of them in the second quarter alone. Jalen Hurts had a play where he had 2 turnovers on the same play. I've never seen that before. Throw a pick, the guy who picks it off, fumbles the football, Hurts recovers, he fumbles, Chargers football. It was a crazy game. It was an emotional roller coaster. I still haven't recovered from it. What do you think of the Monday night game between the Eagles and the Chargers?
The good people at the Elias Sports Bureau looked into that. I'm pretty sure it's the only time in NFL history, as far as we know, that things have been recorded that a player has turned the ball over twice on one play, which not necessarily the kind of history you want to make.
Right.
Ari, I don't like rooting for the Eagles. It was not a fun experience for me. And there was no payoff at the end in this experience. I felt gross the entire time doing it. And then the way the game ended, I'm kind of like, that's what I deserved, rooting for the Eagles here tonight. Bizarre, despite all the turnovers for Philly, still had a chance in that game. They had 7 sacks on Justin Herbert. The offensive line for the Chargers obviously continues to be an issue, and they keep losing players. They lost Trey Pipkins in that game. I respect Herbert. I always have, but man, I mean, he really put the team on his back, right? With a broken hand, all those read options, just kind of putting his body on the line. And again, he found a way to win that game for the Chargers. You know, we've seen that kind of mentality from Mahomes time and time again over the years, where he's like, I'm not going to lose this game. That was kind of Herbert on Monday night. But despite all that, the Eagles had a chance to win it from like the 10-yard line, and I just don't really understand the decision there by Hurts. I get it, everything's going a million miles an hour, but to throw the ball up for grabs there, costly mistake and cost him the game. 3 losses in a row for them.
Yep, they've got time to figure it out. But I tell you, the Chargers, if you mentioned with Herbert, to me, it's his both physical and mental toughness. Nothing seems to rattle him. And at times I've been disappointed in him. I thought his playoff performance last year was just, about a game as you could have. He threw 4 picks against the Texans. But this year, he's not putting the ball in harm's way as much, and he's getting absolutely physically beat up week after week. So I applaud Herbert. I thought Coach Harbaugh's reaction out of the game was typical craziness. He said it was up there with like getting married and the birth of his kids. I'm not sure it was that exciting.
It's week 14.
But you got to give the Chargers are 9-4 right now, and they're the current number 5 seed for the playoffs. I still think they're a pretender. I don't think they're like a Super Bowl contender, but I got to give Justin Herbert his credit. I know you and Mitch do a great job talking about the game that's just passed, but I did want to give one comment on the Texans versus the Chiefs, in that given how banged up the Chiefs' offensive line was, those guys did great. I mean, the reason that the Chiefs lost the game is not because the offensive line didn't protect Patrick. I thought you put those guys in there. I mean, when Wanya Morris went out, I thought, wow, I mean, this is going to be a nightmare with the Houston defense. I thought the guys that went in there played their tails off and gave the Chiefs a chance to win. Now, there were a lot of things that didn't go right. There were some key drops by both Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. Definitely wasn't Patrick's best game, but I really want to give that offensive line some props, because I think everybody thought that was going to be the reason they lost the game, and those guys battled and gave the Chiefs a chance to win.
Yeah, the narrative going into the game, and it was further amplified when Wanya got hurt, is that the Houston defensive front is going to dominate the whole game, right? And really, I think it was the opposite, where the Chiefs defensive line was the one dominating in that game. I think CJ Stroud was under pressure like 66% of the time, particularly to begin the second half. Our defense was awesome and gave us every chance to get back into the game, which we did, and gave us opportunities to win the game. And the offensive line, at the same time, I think gave our offense opportunities. Issa Polle to go out there in his first ever regular season NFL game as an undrafted rookie free agent. And, Danielle Hunter is on the other side of you. And for him to hold his own like he did, I looked it up on PFF. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think he had 42 pass blocking snaps, allowed 3 pressures, 0 sacks, I think like 1 quarterback hit. That's unbelievable for a guy going in there for his first ever regular season action against a defense like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, though, that game is another example of the story of our season, right? Where we had chances, we had opportunities, guys stepped up and put us in a position to win the game. And so uncharacteristically, we didn't seize those opportunities, unfortunately. And that's just been the story of the season so far. Let's see if we can turn that around here over the final 4 games.
And Chiefs Kingdom, I want to give Matt McMullen a little credit right here. So our very first conversation, which I consider my Chiefs summit, is always about 48 hours before I get to training camp. And during that conversation, we cover the entire roster. And one of my takeaways from that conversation is Matt said there's an undrafted tackle, Issa Polle, who's really got some talent. You were like, I don't think he's going to make the team, but hopefully they can hide him on the practice squad. Let me tell you, sometimes you got to throw a guy in and see if he can do it. He delivered, and he is a big man over there. And who knows, maybe he is the answer at one of the tackle spots. And boy, that would make Brett Veach's job a lot easier going into the offseason. No matter what happens here, to know that you've got another tackle in-house who maybe you can build around, because we obviously expect Simmons to come back and he'll be on the left side. But the right side is, we don't know for next season. Issa Polle, I heard it first from you, Matt. He's got some real potential. He was impressive on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, It was one of those throw your hands up kind of things where when Wanye gets hurt on the first play of the game and we already were down all these offensive linemen and you put Pole in, it's like, well, let's just see how he does,
Yep.
Like no pressure, man. There's no expectations here. Just go out there and let's see how he does. And he like blew me away. Like, wow, okay, that was great. It's almost one of those things where if you start the year as a starter along the offensive line as a rookie, the first game of the year, there's jitters, there's expectations. Like that's almost a lot of pressure. Where in that
Right.
situation for Pole, listen, man, just go in there. Let's see how you do. And he nailed it. For him, it's a matter of kind of stacking that. Like if he gets an opportunity to play on Sunday against the Chargers, as we record this, I don't know what the injury situation is with Juwan Taylor and everything. So I don't know if he's going to play, but if he does, and whenever he gets another opportunity, just go out there and try to build on that. But yeah, really solid debut from him. And in a game and largely a season where there's not a ton of things to really hang your hat on, that's a major positive. And looking toward the future, I'm excited about him. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that's one of your major positives from Sunday for sure.
Yeah, that's why I brought up the whole offensive line. Then when I get to Pole, like that is some really good stuff for Chiefs Kingdom to be bullish about as we move forward. All right. I thought the best game from this past weekend was a really entertaining Cincinnati at Buffalo game. Joe Burrow looked amazing. I mean, like the best I've ever seen him play. They're up 28-18. And then somehow on back-to-back throws, basically, he gets picked off. The Bills rally to win. I mean, Allen puts up 4 total touchdowns, quarterback rating just a hair under 140. Because I feel like the AFC isn't as good as it's been, and it is a quarterback-heavy conference with some of the best. It was really fun watching Burrow and Allen go toe-to-toe. In the end, the Bills win 39-34. But if you love offense and great quarterback play, it was on display in Buffalo over the weekend.
That's another one where if it was your first time ever watching football, you'd be like, this is electric. So many things happening. This
So
is crazy.
fun.
It's like a basketball game,
Yep.
Yeah, that was one of those things where I don't think Josh Allen had ever beaten Burrow, right?
Right. 0-2 against him, I believe, coming in.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of those Bills fans were seeing flashes of that divisional round playoff game a couple years ago, also in the snow, and the Bengals came in and just it was never in doubt. The Bengals looked like they were going to run away with it. I mean, their offense was like unstoppable. The Bills were reeling. Josh Allen had to make that like miraculous throw on 4th down just to keep him in it.
Yeah.
But then it just shows you, again, the margin in the NFL where you can play so well for so long and kind of dominate the game. And if you make just a couple of bad decisions, everything can flip on its head when you're playing a pretty good football team. And from there, the Bengals just totally imploded. Like they had it and imploded. And unfortunately, I didn't think, because the Bills having the tiebreaker over us with the head-to-head, I didn't think it was realistic to think we'd catch the Bills. But still, I'm ashamed to say I was rooting for the Bengals in that game. Again, felt kind of gross doing that. But, you want these teams that were in the wild card ahead of us that are in a manageable range to lose. So I'm like, all right, well, the Bengals will win and, we'll be one game closer in the loss column to Buffalo. Then that implosion happens. Then Sunday night happens. Then the Eagles blow it on Monday night. Hopefully things go better this weekend for me. My rooting interests were not satisfied this past weekend.
Yeah, it was a challenging NFL weekend. I will agree with you there. All right, let's go to next week. A super sexy game. 2 of the top teams. We got the Green Bay Packers at the Denver Broncos. Broncos, they just keep winning, but the Packers have really made a statement of late. On Thanksgiving, they do go to Detroit and win. This is a potential Super Bowl matchup. It's not actually who I think is going to be in the Super Bowl, but in theory, it could be 2 teams that are both playing real well. What are your thoughts on the Packers and the Broncos?
It'd be a rematch of one of the late 90s Super Bowls, right? Didn't the Packers and Broncos play in the late 90s in the Super Bowl? Yeah.
Yes.
For my sanity, I certainly hope it's not a Super Bowl preview, but it will be a great game. This is at Lambeau, right?
Oh, I thought it was at Denver. But
is it at Denver?
It's favored by 2.5. Yeah. But
interesting. Okay, sounds good.
It just shows you. I know we don't talk much about gambling here, but it always tells me something to read the line. Like, what's the country's pulse on it? And to me, it says that people aren't sold yet on the Broncos, that they're 2.5-point underdogs at home.
It'll be interesting. I think it'll be a great game from a Chiefs perspective. And this is honestly looking maybe too far ahead. But if you're looking at the whole path for the Chiefs to make the playoffs, no matter what, pretty much at this point, we're going to need the Broncos to beat the Chargers in Week 18. That's the impact of that Eagles game, where now there's not a lot of wiggle room there to get the Chargers some more losses without having to lose that game. Because of tiebreakers, we need the Broncos to beat the Chargers in Week 18. And the fear, of course, is that the Broncos will have nothing to play for and they'll rest their starters. Well, if the Broncos are still right there with the Patriots fighting for the 1 seed, they'll have to play their starters, and obviously that benefits us. So if you look at the Patriots schedule, they've got the Bills left and they've got the Ravens. 2 tough games, I think. Say what you want to about the Ravens. It's still Lamar Jackson. It's still the Ravens. Like, that's not an easy game. So depending on how these things go, I guess I wouldn't mind if the Broncos lost, but I think we're rooting for them in this game. If you think maybe the Patriots lose one more game, of course, we're hoping we beat the Broncos in a couple weeks. So yeah, I think I want the Broncos to win, but I might be big bringing this. It's a tough one to figure out.
Fair enough. The Raiders head to Philadelphia. Eagles will be on a short week. I can't do any mental gymnastics that leads me to believe the Raiders can win this game. I actually think the Eagles defense, and whether it's Geno or whether it's Kenny Pickett, I just don't see the Raiders winning another game this season. In fact, you can make a case, why would you want to win another game, right? Like, you want to have as high a draft position as possible. You're definitely going to finish in last place in the West, so you'll continue to have a last place schedule. But I don't see how the Raiders win in Philly. To me, it's a get-right game for the Eagles. Though, I'd be curious what their emotional state is, Philadelphia. Can you find a scenario where the Raiders go into Philadelphia and win on Sunday?
No. but as someone
no.
as someone that at times enjoys chaos, what would the Philadelphia Eagles fan base response be if they lost their 4th game in a row and it was to the Raiders? As someone that spent a lot of time in Philly, what would that be like?
I mean, short of burning down the link, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
I mean, for as much as I think being a Philadelphia professional sports athlete is awesome in the good times, I think that is completely washed out by what it's like in the bad times. It's a town. Look, the passion is there, the care is there, but what always just tears me apart is the booing of your own team. I'll never support that in any situation. So just know this: if they have even a 3-and-out to start the game against the Raiders, it'll be ugly. I mean, the Boo Birds will be out. So if the Raiders can just hang around, suddenly the Eagles are under self-inflicted pressure at home because of the way the fan base treats the team. So again, if you're hoping for a crazy upset, just let the Raiders get off to a decent start, and the temperature in the link will not be pleasant for the players and coaches. So
yeah,
maybe for the Raiders.
I kind of hope that happens. That'd be great.
You guys covered the Chargers and the Chiefs. To me, the best game coming up this week, I do think Lions and Rams is great, but we're only going to focus on one this week. The rematch of the Bills and the Patriots. So the Patriots went to Buffalo and won 25-19 back on October 5th. Stephon Diggs had a huge game in that game, 10 catches, 146 yards. Both quarterbacks' play was pretty good. What really came down to was turnover margin. It was +2 for the Patriots. This is a huge game for Bills Mafia, right? I mean, if you think you're sort of the Super Bowl team, well, now you're getting a chance against New England, who I don't think you're going to catch no matter what. But do you think this is a game for Buffalo that they think is really important to be like, hey, we're still one of the bullies in the AFC East? It feels like this game, while it's not necessarily going to affect either team being a playoff team, it feels like it's going to set the tone for the future in that division.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important for both teams for a couple of different reasons. So for Buffalo, I totally agree with you, where even though they're probably not going to win their division this year, I think they still have this kind of aura of confidence around them that they are the team in that division, right? And if you get swept by the Patriots, I don't know. That's difficult to kind of keep that aura if you get swept by this team and you don't finish in first place in your division. I mean, so yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on the Bills for that reason. For the Patriots, it's interesting though, because we definitely look at them differently now than we did maybe right even after that win over the Bills, where when they won that game, I think we all kind of thought they were going to lose that game, right? And when they win it, we're like, wow, good for them. Like, look at that. Like, they found a way to win that game. I don't think we looked at them then as like, man, this is a team that could win the Super Bowl, right? And if we're just being honest, if you look at the Patriots schedule, other than that win, they beat the Saints, the Titans, Browns, Falcons. Buccaneers is a pretty good win. Beat the Jets, beat the Bengals. Did Burrow play in that game?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, he's only been back for 2 games, right? So he would
Yeah.
have played that game.
So beat the Bengals with Flacco, I'm guessing, and they beat the Giants. So listen, you can only play who's on your schedule, but this is not an incredibly impressive body of work beyond that Bills win. So can they go out there and do it again? Because I almost feel like the Bills, again, are the best team they're going to play all year in the regular season. And can they go out there and beat them at home? That's the question. And if the Bills win this game convincingly, that creates some questions, I think, about the Patriots. So I think there's pressure on both teams, and it should be a great game. Again, from a Chiefs perspective, you need the Patriots to stay in this 1 seed conversation. So however that works out with Denver, I don't know the answer, but need them to stay in the conversation for the 1 seed. So I guess I want them to win this game, but they play Baltimore next week. So I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you want the Patriots to either lose this week or next week and stay on par with Denver.
I never thought I'd say something to Patriot fans, but I'll tell you this, Patriots fans, enjoy this right now, because next year you're going to play the schedule of a team that wins its division, and everyone's going to be gunning for you. So I always feel like the first year of greatness is the most fun for the fans because you're not expecting it. I mean, I think people might have think that this team would be a lot better than it was last year. Now you got Vrabel there. May's got another year under him. But it won't be as fun as this. It's the most fun when it comes out of nowhere and your expectations are just mind-blown and you're like, this is the most fun football season ever. Look, I know their fans have had plenty of success going back to Belichick and Brady, but I don't think anybody saw them rebounding this season quite this way. So it should be an amazing atmosphere in Foxborough. Okay, so that is that. A quick look at the wild card. Chargers at 5, Buffalo at 6, Houston at 7. Indy is at 8. I feel terrible for Daniel Jones. And really, I'm a little empathetic to the whole Colts organization to be where they were. Right? Shane Steichen was my coach of the year. Jonathan Taylor was my offensive player of the year. And Daniel Jones was my comeback player of the year. None of them are going to win any of those awards anymore. It's got to be hard times in Indianapolis, and losing Daniel Jones to that type of injury. I realized that the Chiefs beat the Colts. You'd have them in a tiebreak. But how about Heartbreak City for the Colts this year after such an incredible start?
Yeah, I mean, it shows how cruel this sport can be, right? Where you get off to an amazing start, you're feeling really good. You make that big trade to get Sauce Gardner. You mortgage future assets to go for it. And man, I mean, it's scary that you're always just a couple of freak things away from all that going up in smoke. And now Phillip Rivers is coming back, I guess, and going to try to quarterback them through the final 4 weeks of the year. We'll see what happens there. Their schedule was already really tough. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. And now, I mean, your best bet is either a rookie dealing with an injury and Riley Leonard, and then Phillip Rivers, who's 44 years old. Just tough. So shows how cruel this game can be. And honestly, it makes me feel so fortunate that the Chiefs have had these incredible seasons over the years, and they've been able to finish it and find a way to finish it. And we've been healthy enough to finish it. I look back on past years that we started off kind of like the Colts did this year, and we were able to have the payoff at the end. And it just has to be devastating for people out there that have invested so much time and effort and excitement into that team for everything to kind of just implode. So yeah, it's tough. Shows how difficult and kind of how ruthless this game can be.
Well, that brings me to my final thought, and it has to do with the pain of being a fan. In its truest sense, being a fan is short for fanatic, which means you're kind of overtly emotionally invested in the outcome of things. And I can remember as just a small kid, all of sports mattered so much to me. It literally, I would watch a game and I'd either be jumping up and down or I'd literally be crying in like a fetal position. It's happened countless times over the years. The one I remember most early in my childhood is my first favorite athlete was Julius Erving, Dr. J. I just thought he was the coolest guy who ever played any sport. And I can remember his final year when they lost in the playoffs. And I was inconsolable. I just kept crying and crying and crying. I was never going to get to see my favorite player again. And there have just been countless moments along my life journey. So let's say that was 50 years ago, that my love of sports has only grown. But boy, the agony of sports, the emotional roller coaster. And I know Chiefs Kingdom has felt it this year. All these past recent years, when the game was close and you were nearing the end, you had this feeling of invincibility. You had Patrick Mahomes, right? He is the Michael Jordan of the NFL. And I'm watching that game on Sunday night, and the emotional roller coaster that went on inside of me over the course of those 3 hours. I don't know if there's anything else in life that compares to it. And the joy is incredible. Don't get me wrong. Seeing the Chiefs win Super Bowls, best thing ever. But wow, when it doesn't go well, it really hurts deep. And I've talked to you about this off air, that you don't want your job to take over emotionally the things outside of your job, right? You still want to be a great partner. You want to be a great son. You want to be a great friend. You want to be all those things. But when you care as deeply and you're as entrenched in sports as we are, sometimes that line is kind of blurry. And I got to tell you, Sunday night, I had to put my kids to bed before the end of the game. And I can tell you my goodnight kiss and my goodnight was not nearly as warm and fuzzy as it would normally be. So really, this is just me trying to be empathetic to all of Chiefs Nation. Just know there are sunnier days ahead, and this team could still make the playoffs. And in my mind, they could do anything if they get in the dance. But just know that just because we work in sports doesn't mean we don't feel the same pain that you do. We absolutely do. So I understand the pain of being a sports fan. I wouldn't trade it in for anything, but just know I understand the pain. And that is my final thought.
That's a great one. I think I will tag it with a similar final thought in that, you and I really kind of live this, right? Mitch is the same way. You're right that it is smart, and it is probably much healthier to have a divide, a clear boundary between this stuff and like your life. And some people have that, and it's great. I'm very happy for them. We really don't.
Nope.
I love this team. I love everything about it. I love being a part of it. And when they win and we find success, it's the best thing in the world. And when we struggle, you feel that, right? Because if you didn't feel it when you're losing, you can't look at me and say that you're feeling it when you win. Like, if you're going to feel on top of the world when we win the Super Bowl, you're going to feel down in the dumps when we lose games that otherwise I felt like we should have won, games that have put us in a really kind of precarious position here in the postseason chase. And it stinks. It's a bummer. And one thing I try to do in my role is communicate to all of you listening that I care about this as much as you do. I grew up in Kansas City. I love this team. I would be living and dying with this team even if I didn't work here. I remember when the Colts lost, or when the Chiefs lost to the Colts in the playoffs back in 2013. We had this huge lead, right? We were up 28-10 and just completely imploded. And the Colts came back and won. And I was like a wreck for like weeks. That was a wild card round game, And I just would like everyone to know that, we wear this as much as everyone else does. And it hurts and it's hard. And but at the same time, I heard Mitch say this a couple days ago. When you encounter situations like this, there's a couple of different ways that you can handle it. You can be really mad and just like throwing things and upset. And I get it if that's how you feel. You can be apathetic, which might be the worst thing, where you're just like, nah, whatever. Or you can think, okay, how can things turn around? How can we get back to what I think this team can be? And that's the mindset I think everyone in this building has. And that's the mindset you and I have. And it's all about, here are the things that were good. Here are the things that were bad. Let's build on the good things. Let's correct the bad things. And it's not just sports. That's anything, I think.
Right.
And I think the people in this building and our fan base are all about that third thing, however they communicate that. So anyway, I got home after the game on Sunday. I'm all bummed out. And my dog, Pippin, who I talk about all the time on this podcast, greeted me the same way as if we had won, if we had lost, whatever. And she's so just happy and positive. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to be okay in the long run. I hope it's this season. I hope we get in the playoffs and can make a run. Even if we don't, I have full confidence in the world this team will be back on the mountaintop next year because of the people that are here. So anyway, long-winded answer, but I'm with you. We feel this like everyone listening does. And I think when you encounter these moments, it's about how do you respond to it? How do you process it? And you and I are going to choose to embrace the good things and hope that we can find ways to correct the bad things and get back on top. That is my final thought for you.
Well, that's great. My little tag to that is Charles Swindoll wrote a small thing. It's called Attitudes. And it basically says, 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you react to it. And I think in our jobs, look, we're always looking to be positive and to be looking to a brighter future. And there's no organization in football I'd rather be with right now, even with the record at 6-7, than the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got all the right people in place. They'll make great decisions. If they rallied up this year, hallelujah. But if they don't, to Chiefs Kingdom, how we look at it, we all control our own attitude all day, every day. All right, that's going to do it for Out West with Ari Wolfe this week. Enjoy week 15, everybody, and a big thanks to you, Matt.
All right, always great catching up with Ari. You couldn't make it today, but you would have loved the last part of that conversation because I actually talked about some things I heard you talking about on the radio the other day that, listen, these circumstances aren't great. Like, we didn't expect to be in this spot, but it is all about how you handle it and respond to it. And what I think is so cool about Chiefs Kingdom is that we absolutely love this team, you know, and it's not always going to be perfect, but it's about how do we respond to these situations. And the way you and I are and so many of our fans are and the way the people in this building are in terms of trying to kind of fix this thing, it's all about, hey, let's embrace the good stuff and build on that. Let's fix the bad stuff. There's no finger pointing going on, none of that. This team is stuck together through this, and that's why I have confidence, you know, whether it's this year or looking at the future, we're going to be just fine moving forward. But it was a good conversation.
I often explain to people, or try to explain to people, that what you and I do and the people that work in our 65 TPT crew and work for the team, it is not our leisure, it's our profession. And for our fans and all of you, it's your leisure, it's your entertainment. And I get all that. I'm not saying, it's just you got to understand. And what I said on different radio reports and the one that you heard, there's 3 responses to the Chiefs being 6-7 and being under the expectation, obviously, of what's happened here since Coach Reed really drove in, let's be honest. But it's either Schadenfreude, which is the German term of, man, I really love it when you have discomfort.
A lot of people are enjoying that.
I just relish in it. I hope you have, you know, pins in your fingernails, and I'll just sit there and love it. That's one group. The second group is to wallow in it. You just sit there and wallow and want to stay in it. And actually, it's human nature because we can get caught in self-pity and we can wallow. And it's like, oh, this is, I'll stay here because this feels like just kind of, you know, I don't like it, but I like it. Kind of, it's really strange. Then the third category, which we're in because it's our profession, is how does it get better? What do we look at and analyze? And I talked about Coach Reed's 4th down and 1 play. I said, just analyze of what his thought process would have been in going for it. Would I have gone for it? Probably not. He said he would again, but he's also would maybe think about it. But the point is the fact that what goes into his thought process of why he did it, and the fact that we're number 1 in the league in 4th down conversions might have gone into his thinking. We've converted more than anybody in the league, and it's kind of not super far close, I should say, to second. So you handle it, but it's and you have to have a different mindset, but that's the mindset this team, we sense that they have, and you have to have it in this Sunday's game against the Chargers.
Yeah, and I think, for me, this team and everyone in this building has just earned the benefit of the doubt because of the ridiculous success that we've enjoyed.
There is some equity here, you think. There's some sweat equity.
And listen, we all expected this season to end in Santa Clara. And it still could, for all we know. But we did not think we'd be 6-7, right? You and I have full confidence in this team that we would be running the table competing for the 1 seed. Hasn't been the case this year, and we've laid out why. It just hasn't been like we've lost by 20 points numerous times. We just haven't made the plays we normally make at the end of games. And those plays, unfortunately, have added up over the course of the season. But moving forward, it's all about how you respond to it. And I know I've said that before, and the results weren't always wins. Well, that doesn't mean you don't keep the same process of, okay, how do we respond to it? This isn't where we expected to be, but everything is still there. The Chiefs can make the playoffs this year. I certainly hope they do. And hopefully we're talking about this team in the playoffs weeks from now. But if you're looking toward the future as well, this team and the people here have earned the benefit of the doubt where the Chiefs have won the most regular season games, the most postseason games of any team over the last 10 seasons. Been to all these conference title games, been to the Super Bowl several times, won the Super Bowl. They know how to get it done. We didn't think this would happen, but it did. So how do you respond to it now? There's nobody on earth I'd rather have in charge of figuring this thing out than the people in this building.
Yeah, it's one of the things I said to the people who are asking the question about Coach and the 4th down is, are you going to get a media credential for his Hall of Fame induction? you might be applying for one.
Yeah.
So there is some equity there from a guy's fourth in the NFL in victories and first in Chiefs history in victories. So here we are, barreling in with a 6-7 record against the Chargers, who have kind of hung in there at 9-4. But for the Chiefs, the battle cry: hold the fort.